Today marks the 81st straight day of high temperatures in Phoenix, topping out at above 100 degrees. The previous record was 76 straight days back in 1993, and we've just had the hottest June and second hottest July on record. It gets hot here in the summer, but it's been extra hot of late, and we're not getting much relief with overnight cooling. Joining us now is ASU climatologist Randy Cerveny, and I blame you.
I wish I had better news.
Yeah, we got to blame some. Okay, so this is a new record. We just blew past that one, and there's no end in sight.
There is no end in sight. We're going to have the next week at still above 100-degree temperatures. The monsoon precipitation, what little we've had, is shut down now for a while, so we're going to be dry again for the next week.
And yet, it seems to me like we haven't had the 115, 117, 118 days. Those kinds, we haven't had as many of those. Am I wrong there?
No, you're right. But what the problem is that normally our highs, say 10, 15 years ago, we were on the order of 105, 106. This year, last year, our highs have been on the order of 110, 112. So we haven't gotten to that really hot temperature, but we haven't been as cool as what we've been in past years.
Is it so basically there's more volatility? You usually see the 105 to 115s as opposed to the steady 110, 112s.
Well,
maybe for the most part, maybe.
Yeah, the problem is that it's not been that volatile. It's just been 110 degrees. So,
right. Yeah.
So it's been really hot. It's not limited to just Phoenix, by the way, but Phoenix has been manifesting it better than any other city.
But in Phoenix, the heat island effect is that really is making a difference, is it not?
Well, it makes a difference. Yes, it adds about probably 3 to 4 degrees to the high temperature that otherwise we would have. But the bigger situation with regards to our monsoon is the valley situation, that the edges of the valley tend to get more precipitation than the center of the valley, and the center of the valley is Sky Harbor Airport, which is where we measure everything.
So that's why when we see storms, Fountain Hills, Carefree, and now Wickenburg in the old days and Gila Bend, these places, I'd feel bad for them. They weren't getting the storms that we were getting. Now they're getting all the storms.
Yeah,
why is that?
Well, it does vary from year to year. Remember that the monsoon storms are what we call convective. They're based off of hot air, and it's like looking at a pan of boiling water, trying to figure out where those bubbles are going to occur. There's a certain amount of chaos that is associated with figuring out where the storms are going to hit in the valley.
Well, we've had heat chaos here in the valley. I think we have a map now to show the rest of the state, and look, Randy, I'm no cartographer here, but it looks to me like we're just doomed here.
Yeah, if you look at the scale there, the really dark red is the warmest that we have seen in the 130 years of record across the United States, and that's really showing up as the Southwest. Also, the East Coast has had a pretty hot summer as well, but notice that the lack of blue on there are no places, no counties across the entire country that were below normal in terms of temperature this summer.
All right, so every county in Arizona is getting blasted here. Is this the new normal?
It sure has been for the last couple of years. And when we're looking at climate change, that's what we want to look at. We want to look at trend. So any one year probably isn't any good measure of whether it's climate change or not. But when I start seeing 2023 being so hot, if you remember last year.
Yes.
This year being so hot. If we see this happening again next year, we're seeing a trend that's happening, and it becomes much easier to say, yes, this is climate change. This is not something that's normal.
Let's look at our next map, which is the monsoon. And the monsoon, as those of us who live in certain parts of the valley, no great shakes here. What do you make of this map?
Well, it's interesting. We're seeing a bit of a dichotomy across the state. Tucson's actually had a really good monsoon.
They sure have. I mean, it seems like they're always getting hit down there.
Yeah, they've actually had about double their normal monsoon rainfall. According to countywide data, Maricopa is actually about normal, and the northern part of the state is below normal. So we've had a good monsoon for the southern part, The northern part of the state, not so well.
But that's relatively normal in the sense of they always get more rain than we do down there, don't they?
Not necessarily.
Really?
Not necessarily. We can have years when the rim fires, when we get big thunderstorms that break across the Mogollon Rim.
Yeah.
This year, it's more of the storms are coming up from the south, which is what a lot of people kind of consider typical monsoonal flow.
Yeah.
But it does vary from year to year. This
Interesting.
happens to be one where Tucson's getting all the riches.
Yeah, they sure are, along with Wickenburg and Hilla Bend. All right, our next map looks at outlook for temperatures and rainfall coming up for, I believe, the fall, correct?
Yes.
All right, what do we expect? What are we learning here from this map?
Well, this is the outlook from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and it just came out today for our fall weather. And so what we see is on the left-hand side, temperature, and you see that great word above, that the probability of having above normal temperatures, hot, in other words, for Arizona, is looking particularly good for New Mexico and for eastern Arizona. On the right-hand side, we're seeing precipitation, and there's a pretty good chance that New Mexico is going to be well below normal in terms of precipitation. We are likely to be fairly dry over the fall.
That's La Nina, isn't it?
That is La Nina. What we have had happening over the summertime, you remember last winter we had El Nino, which is a warming, and we got some pretty good rains. Unfortunately, that El Nino pattern has broken down for us. I mean, other people don't like El Nino. We here in Arizona like it because it gives us rains. But it's broken down, and now we're moving into what's called La Nina.
So when do we, I always hear about, we talk about it all the time when you come on the show, El Nino, La Nina. Where is the divide? When do we know that was El Nino, this is La Nina? What time of year do we say, okay, we're in a...
Well, it does actually vary from year to year. What we're looking at is what the temperatures are in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And the ocean temperatures in the middle of the Pacific Ocean determine whether we are in El Nino or La Nina. If they are cold temperatures in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, that's La Nina. If they are warm temperatures in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, that's El Nino. And what we have happening right now is waters that are coming up from South America that have originated all the way down in Antarctica. They're being pushed into the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean is cold.
So basically, if in middle of summer is basically kind of when you know the dividing line. If it's cold, it's La Nina. If it's warm, for the most part.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to start in the summer. It can happen any time of the year. We see it most evident when it comes around Christmas time. That's why we call it El Nino. El Nino is actually Spanish for the child, and it refers to the Christ child in Christmas.
Okay, so last question here. We're La Nina now. We're wailing and gnashing of teeth because it's La Nina. But could it change? Could warmer water hit the, huh?
No, I wish I could say it does, but it doesn't change very fast. That's one of the big things about the Pacific Ocean. Pacific Ocean is so big that it takes a long time for these changes to take place. Usually 6 months to a year for changing from El Nino to La Nina or back. And so what we're going to see here is pretty assured La Nina going on into the fall. That means our two favorite words, hot and dry.
Yeah. Randy Cerveny, ASU climatologist. Well, sometimes you bring good news and sometimes you don't.
Yeah, don't shoot the messenger.
All right, good to have you here.
Thanks.